little over a year ago today, I posted my NFL tier list and what I thought each team was going to be like the next season. And today I'm going to be reacting to it. I did miss on a few, but right now I'm going to go more in depth and tell you my thought process while I was posting this and what went wrong. Quick announcement before the video starts. If you haven't noticed already, I changed the account name for this YouTube channel because I created a new TikTok account because my old one wasn't getting any new followers. Yeah, now I have a new TikTok account. It'd be in the YouTube description of this video. I'd appreciate if you guys could go follow it. If not, I just want to let you guys know that I changed the name for this account, so if you're confused, that's why. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the video. Peace. So in the original video, my face cam was covering part of the tier list, so I had to remake it, but here in the Super Bowl contender category, starting from there, I had the Browns, Bucks, Chiefs, Packers, Bills, and Rams. So the Buccaneers and Chiefs were in the Super Bowl last year, that's why I put them. Bills and Packers have been very close to the Super Bowl the last 2 years. And then I also put my Rams, who made the big addition of Matthew Stafford a year ago, so that was my thought process. Now, I thought Jared Goff was holding them back, and Matthew Stafford was slingshot us to the Super Bowl, and that's exactly what happened. So I would say these five are amazing. And then the Browns. I thought the Browns were going to be good. I mean, like, pretty much everyone did, but Baker Mayfield sucked even more than I thought he would. People will say he had an injury and he's going to ball off on the Panthers. I don't think that's true. I think he's really overrated. He definitely held them back along with a couple other injuries. So, I mean, at the time, that wasn't too bad. I mean, they finished 8-9, but I think that was the worst one in that tier. But Bucks, Chiefs, Packers, Bills, and Rams were all pretty good predictions for Super Bowl contenders. Now, playoff locks. I put the Vikings, Ravens, Colts, Chargers, and Seahawks. Wow. None of those teams made the playoffs. All five of my playoff locks missed the playoffs. I mean, to be fair, the Vikings do have the talent to win it, and I think they will be better next year, but I think coaching was definitely what was holding them back last year. Ravens, I honestly would have been spot on with this. They were, I think, 8-3, number one seed in the AFC before Lamar went down, and then they went on like a 6-game losing streak, finished 8-9. Yeah, they were such a good team, first place in the AFC, and then everyone on that team started doing their best Christian McCaffrey impression. They're torn up with injuries, and that's what stopped them from making the playoffs, so I'm not too mad about myself with that one. Now, the Colts were great, but they choked against the Jaguars week 18 and missed the playoffs. They can't beat the Jaguars at Jacksonville to save their life. Chargers, they were really good. They had a lot of star power, and they're going to be even better next year. Justin Herbert had a top 2 offense in the league, but their run defense is what killed them all year. Justin Herbert led the number 2 offense in the league, but they had a bottom 3 defense statistically. And for the Seahawks, this may or may not have been the case if Russell Wilson wasn't torn up by Aaron Donald when Aaron Donald, injured his thumb. They did start off 2-2, and then Aaron Donald injured Russell Wilson and derailed their season, which caused them to finish 7-10 last in the division. They may have been a lot better, may have been playoff contenders if there wasn't for Russell Wilson's injury, and then he was traded to the Broncos this year, obviously. My entire row of playoff locks didn't make the playoffs. I mean, a lot of that's just bad luck, but what can you say? Moving on to playoff contenders, I got the Tennessee Titans first. They were the first seed in the AFC, which honestly, they were one of the worst number 1 seeds that I can ever remember. Dolphins for playoff contenders, they were, but that was only because of their really easy schedule. I mean, they started, 1-7 and went on like a 7 or 8 game winning streak. 49ers, they definitely were playoff contenders, better than I thought they would be. They made the NFC Championship game. Cowboys were playoff contenders, and they did make it. Saints would have been playoff contenders, maybe even playoff locks if Jameis Winston didn't get hurt. It sucks for him, but I feel like he's gonna bounce back and be better than ever next year. Washington was a lot worse than I expected. They were not playoff contenders. Cardinals did make the playoffs. I mean, they started 7-0. No one expected that, but then they did fall off the second half of the season. Last but not least, the Patriots, they did make a playoff, so this row isn't too bad. In the meh category, I had the Falcons, Bears, Giants, Steelers, and Panthers. Maybe the Falcons belong there, or they should have been in trash. Same with the Panthers, I think should have been in trash. Falcons were 7-10, Panthers were 5-12. Steelers were literally mid. They were 8-1, I believe. They did make the playoffs. Giants were trash. I mean, they did a QB sneak on 3rd and 9. Daniel Jones had one of the greatest catches of all time. Same with Saquon Barkley, too. Kind of off topic, I feel like the Giants always have, amazing, iconic catches. I mean, you had that Daniel Jones one-hander. You had the immaculate reception. You had that Saquon Barkley snag. That one wasn't that popular, but it was insane. And you also had the Odell catch, greatest catch of all time. Yeah, off topic. And then the Bears, they also maybe should have been trash. All right, then moving on to the trash tier. Here, you could probably already see I have the biggest miss of the entire tier list. First off, you have the Jaguars. I mean, they were trash, but they should have been in the first overall pick tier because they did get the first overall pick. And you got the Bengals, who made the Super Bowl. I mean, absolutely no one was expecting Joe Burrow off of torn ACL and Jamar Chase, who was dropping passes in preseason, to be one of the most explosive offenses in football. Defense overperformed what they were expected. Same with their offense. Pretty much every part of their team overperformed. Even their special teams, with Evan McPherson was an amazing rookie this year. Yeah, they were Super Bowl contenders. I mean, they did make the Super Bowl. This is one of my worst picks. Next, you have the Broncos. I mean, they were pretty trash. They were 7-10. Maybe they could have gone in the meh category, but they were pretty trash. Just not on the same tier as the Jaguars. Same with the Raiders. I mean, they made the playoffs. Unexpected, but they did. Derek Carr's a dog. Speaking of dogs, you got Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. They were pretty trash. I have hopes for them. I have high hopes in the future. Just fans, if there are any of you guys, your future is not looking too bad. But yeah, they were pretty trash this year. And the first overall pick, you got the Lions. That was a great pick. I mean, they were like 0-11 to start the season, and then they beat the Packers in week 18, which they shouldn't have done, because if they didn't, then they would have got the first overall pick. I mean, they still got their guy. I think they would have drafted Aiden Hutchinson either way. It's not that big of a deal. Texans, yep, they were definitely in contention for the first overall. I can't speak today. Texans, yep, they were definitely in contention for the first overall pick. Davis Mills was a lot better than everyone thought. He was extremely underrated this year. And then Eagles, another big L, they made the playoffs this year unexpectedly. They did a lot better than everyone thought they would, but I think that's because of their schedule. You know, when I was making this, I wasn't looking too much at schedule. Eagles had a very easy one. That's the final tier list. I mean, a couple of my biggest L's were the Eagles, Bengals, Raiders, Washington, Seahawks, Browns. But I mean, overall, it's not too bad. Now let's look at the records I predicted for each team and how they actually finished out. Starting with the AFC, I thought they were the #1 seed with a record of 13-4. I was one game off that. They were 12-5. Not bad. One game off is great. I'm extremely happy with these if I'm between 0 and 2 games off. You know, I changed my mind. I'm gonna be really happy if I'm between 0 and 1 game off. Bills, I thought, were the #2 seed with also a record of 13-4. They were 11-6. 2 games off. Not bad. Browns, I had 12-5. They finished 8-9. I was 3 games off. Not good at all. I'm not happy with that. Titans, I had at 12-5. I had them winning the division. They did win the division at 12-5, so I was spot on with the Titans. That's honestly really good. Then I had the Ravens at 11-6. They honestly might have got that. They might have even won the division if it wasn't for their injuries, but they did finish 8-9. I was 2 games off. Next, the Chargers, I had them at 11-6. They were 9-8. I had them at 11-6, #6 seed. Not amazing. I thought they were gonna be better than they were. And Patriots, 10-7. They were 10-7. That's on the dot. Perfect. Colts, I had barely missing the playoffs at 8-9. They were 9-8, 1 game off, and they barely missed the playoffs. That's honestly perfect. Broncos, I also had at 8-9, and they were 7-10, 1 game off again. Dolphins, I also had at 8-9. They were 9-8. Steelers, I had 6-11. I thought they were going to be really bad this year. They were 9-7-1. Then Raiders, I had at the 12 seed at 6-11. They were 10-7 and made the playoffs. So that one was a terrible prediction. Steelers and Raiders were both terrible. Steelers, I was 3 games off. Raiders, those 4 games off. Jaguars, I had at 5-12. I thought they would improve, but they didn't. They're still 3-14. Bengals, probably my biggest loss. I had them at 4-13. I was 6 games off, and they were 10-7. Oh, that one hurts. Jets, I had at 4-13. They were 4-13 on the dot. Perfect. Last but not least, I had the Texans at 1-16. Davis Mills balled out more than I thought he would. They finished 4-13. That is finished with the AFC. Now on to the NFC. I had the Buccaneers with the #1 seed at 14-3, and the Buccaneers were 13-4. So I was only 1 game off. That's not bad. Rams, I had 13-4. I was also 1 game off. They were 12-5. Packers, I had 11-6. I was 2 games off there. They were 13-4. I had the Redskins at 11-6, and they were 7-10. I was 4 games off. That was terrible. 49ers, I also had 11-6, and they finished 10-7. I was 1 game off, not bad. Vikings, I had at 10-7. They were 8-9. I was 2 games off. Seahawks, I had at 10-7. That was a terrible one. They finished 7-10. 3 games off there. Cardinals, I had at 9-8. They were 11-6, 2 games off there. Saints, I had at 9-8 as well, and they finished 9-8. That's on the dot, perfect. Cowboys, I had at 9-8, missing the playoffs, and they were 12-5. I had the Bears, Giants, and Panthers all at 7-10. Bears were 6-11. That's 1 game off. Giants were 14-3. They were 4-13. That is 3 games off. And then the Panthers were 5-12. That's 2 games off. Falcons, I had at 6-11. They were 7-10. That's only 1 game off. Lions, I had at 3-14. They were 3-13-1. I'm gonna count it as on the dot, even though I'm not gonna predict a tie, okay? Last but not least, I had the Eagles at 3-14. They were 9-8. That one's tough. Overall, I would say I did pretty decent. Hopefully I do better this year. What team surprised you this year? I mean, the Bengals and Eagles were probably the biggest surprises to me. I'm gonna be posting my NFL tier list and record predictions for this year coming up soon. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Have a great day. Peace.